In the spirit and intent of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action, we acknowledge the traditional Indigenous territories on which we gather. We recognize the diverse and unique groups of Indigenous peoples from across North America or Turtle Island, and specifically the diverse cultures, languages, and territories. We are committed to building relationships with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples in order to enhance our knowledge of their many languages and histories across their homelands. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bill Dixon, the Acting Manager of Media Relations for the Ontario Provincial Police. I'm your moderator for this virtual media conference. The media release, along with supporting documents, including an addendum of charges and the photos, are being distributed through the OPP News portal right now. First to speak will be Chief Superintendent Paul Mackey, the commander of the OPP's Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau. Our second speaker will be Belleville Police Service Deputy Police Chief Chris Berry. And third will be Staff Superintendent Paul McIntyre, Detective Services at the Toronto Police Service. Now I'm pleased to introduce OPP Chief Superintendent Mackey. Sir.
Thank you, Bill. Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us virtually this afternoon. Every day, people in Ontario feel the impacts of organized crime. Organized crime groups work here, they live here, and they have vast resources at their disposal. Their criminal activity often includes drug trafficking, fraud, money laundering, extortion, human trafficking, and violence. All of these have serious impacts on community safety. Urban street gangs are moving out of the neighborhoods and are turning into global criminal networks. They're becoming bigger, they're becoming bolder, they're becoming more enterprising and more sophisticated. Outlaw motorcycle gangs are continuing to intimidate communities and incite violence. They're moving out of clubhouses and into storefronts where they're trying to expand their influences even further. They are motivated by profit and seem to stop at nothing to get it. That's why the OPP is committed to partnering with other law enforcement agencies to investigate these crime rings and hold those responsible accountable. Together, we take an integrated, intelligence-led approach, which has resulted in many successful investigations. Today, I'm pleased to share the results of Project Coyote, a 13-month joint force investigation that has resulted in removing more than a dozen firearms, including stolen and 3D printed weapons off of our streets. In addition, a significant amount of illegal drugs, including more than 1 kilogram of fentanyl, 6 kilos of methamphetamine, and 16 kilos of cocaine were seized, as well as more than $370,000 in Canadian currency stemming from the proceeds of crime. 10 vehicles and jewelry worth more than an estimated $150,000 and miscellaneous Hells Angels items were also seized. The OPP's Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau and Provincial Operations Intelligence Bureau worked alongside the Toronto, Belleville, and Windsor Police Services to dismantle this crime ring. On January 18th, 9 high-risk warrants were executed in the GTA. Yesterday, an additional 15 arrests were executed at 23 locations in Ontario. This included 3 members of the Hells Angels and 3 members of the Red Devils Motorcycle Club. We are laying significant charges, including offenses related to criminal organization, conspiracy, trafficking of controlled substances, trafficking of firearms, and possession of property obtained by crime. We are pleased with the significant results of this joint force investigation that led to the disruption of the elevated threat posed by the ongoing association of these criminal organizations. As a result of this technical investigation, which spanned more than a year involving multiple law enforcement agencies, 2 criminal groups were identified as operating a drug trafficking network in the Belleville-Quinte West area, a GTA street gang, and members of the Hells Angels and their puppet club, the Red Devils. 27 individuals involved in these 2 groups have been arrested. It's important to highlight the collaboration needed to tackle organized crime in Ontario, and I'm grateful for the work done by the OPP, the Toronto Police Service, Windsor Police Service, and the Belleville Police Service on this case. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Chris Berry from the Belleville Police Service to speak to the community impact of this investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, today I'd like to extend our sincere appreciation and thanks to the officers of the Belleville Police Service involved in this project, along with our policing partners with the Ontario Provincial Police, the Toronto Police Service, and the Windsor Police Service for the cooperation and hard work in bringing this lengthy and complex investigation to such a successful conclusion. The Commitment and tenacity displayed by the officers in this case will no doubt go a long way towards restoring a feeling of safety and security amongst the public in our community and many others in cities and towns across our province. Organized crime, in particular outlaw biker gangs and street gangs, thrive on violence and intimidation and prey on our most vulnerable members of our society. Some local examples of the violence that often erupts when criminals battle for control of the illicit drug trade include a homicide that occurred in our city on July 10th of 2022, where a young man was gunned down outside of a North Front Street restaurant. Organized crime also establishes clubhouses and businesses, including a clubhouse in the city of Belleville on Highway number 37 and a downtown business storefront that have now been closed. Groups such as the Hells Angels and their puppet clubs serve to expand their influence and intimidate our citizens as they expand into our communities. They seek to become a visible presence while they profit from the misery they inflict on our most vulnerable citizens through drugs, weapons, and human trafficking. The collaboration and cooperation displayed by all of the law enforcement agencies involved in Project Coyote has sent a very powerful message to organized crime that when they set up shop in a smaller community such as Belleville, they'll be facing not only the resources of our local police agency, but the combined might of law enforcement across all of Ontario. Our focus is now going to shift locally towards working with our social service providers to support those who have been victimized by these gangs. Our community's sense of safety and security can begin to be restored, and the Belleville Police Service will remain committed to supporting our policing partners across the province to continue the fight the scourge of organized crime wherever it surfaces. I'd now like to turn it over to Staff Superintendent Paul McIntyre of the Toronto Police Service.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, Deputy Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here with our friends in law enforcement to share the results of Project Coyote, a joint forces effort led by the OPP in partnership with Toronto, Windsor, and Belleville Police Services. The Toronto Police Service provided surveillance and search warrant support as part of this larger effort to fight organized crime in Ontario, an effort that requires the kind of intelligence-led and collaborative investigations we're talking about today. The work of organized criminals spreads across borders, so police work must as well. It's important that investigators work in concert with one another to conduct such investigations to keep our community safe. No matter what uniform patch we wear on our shirts, we will work together. And now, after an 18-month investigation led by dedicated officers from police services across this province, several criminal organizations and their illicit activities have been disrupted for the betterment of people in our city and in cities and towns across Ontario. Make no mistake, when police take violent criminals off the streets, not to mention their guns, drugs, and other proceeds of crime, we are preventing criminal acts that undoubtedly diminish the quality of life for our people. Through Project Coyote, we are holding organized criminals accountable for putting personal profit ahead of the well-being and safety of our communities. Such behavior won't be tolerated, and police services across Ontario and Canada will work together to stop organized criminal groups. On that note, I want to thank our law enforcement partners, the OPP, Windsor, and Belleville Police Service, and the men and women involved in Project Coyote for their dedication and ongoing commitment to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to all three of our speakers. This concludes the formal portion of the live media conference. Pre-scheduled follow-up interviews for Project Coyote will begin shortly for media who have booked them. Thank you all for joining us today to learn about this investigation, and please stay safe.